I'm Andrew Sherman. I'm a Texas transplant who has always been in pursuit of art as a career. I've played in bands, pursued an acting career in Hollywood, but I found it behind the lens of a camera here in Dallas, Texas. I was born in New York. I've lived in Chicago, Los Angeles, Austin, but I love Dallas. There's a magical artistic scene in Dallas that mostly goes unnoticed to the outside world. This podcast is focused on what makes it so special and the people who make it thrive artistically. If you don't live here, and even if you do, you might not have heard of them. This is the Dallas Famous Podcast.
So who you gonna be? Who you gonna be when you're all grown up? Who you gonna be? Who you gonna be when you're over us? Yeah.
This week on the Dallas Famous Podcast, we have fire performer and dancer Brianna Apsara. Brianna is also a costume designer, choreographer, booking agent, and a certified nurse. Simply put, she's an all-around badass. Brianna discusses the challenges that have faced her dealing with being high-functioning artistic in both life and as a performer and lead on performance gigs. We also talk about her all-female fire group, Fempyre. Brianna gets into it, discussing the fire community, both the good and the bad. She says some important things that most people don't want to talk about, and she doesn't pull any punches. I know you'll enjoy this one with Brianna Apsara. Okay, we are here today at Epic Central in Grand Prairie. We have the special privilege of using this awesome little podcasting studio. And I'm here with Brianna Apsara. Apsara?
Yeah.
I was so darn close. Thank you so much for joining us. I start every episode by asking, so you're a Texan?
Yeah, I'm from Texas originally.
Like which part of Texas?
I'm from East Texas, Nacogdoches.
Okay. And you're now like in DFW?
Yeah, I came up here for college back in the day.
Okay.
And then I just, how people stop in Dallas and then they stay in Dallas forever.
Right.
Like, that's how it goes.
Where were you at school?
I went to UNT for my basics, and I got a bachelor's in nursing from Texas Women's University.
Oh, cool. So you're a nurse.
Yeah.
That's your like, real life job.
Yeah, that's my Monday through Friday gig.
Okay. Interesting. And okay, so let's start like early on. So you're a fire performer, you're a dancer, you're an entertainer. Like, well, like if when someone asks you, what do you call yourself?
I know I've had trouble coming up with when people ask me what I do. I've had trouble being like, what do I pick today? Because I just have a personality that once I feel like I've gotten somewhere with an art form, I'm like, okay, what's next? So it just kind of snowballed into this whole thing. I was hoping to find a niche, like one thing that people would just book me for over and over consistently. But that didn't happen. It ended up that I ended up being booked for costume making and stilt walking and fire manipulation, flow arts. So it's like I have a full schedule. It's very fun. I have such a full schedule that I get to sub out a lot of gigs and all that, like basically every week. But yeah, it ended up just being like, okay, well, now I do everything. And it's been really fun.
I feel like that's true with everything now, though, because I just want to be a photographer. And here I am doing a podcast. I have to write. And like I would be happy if people just, no, he's a photographer. That's it. But that's the world we're living in. But like you're good at all of these things. So thankfully.
Yeah, I feel like I'm good at it.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was what was surprising to me was that I was actually pretty, I had an aptitude for all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely turned into something I wasn't expecting at the beginning.
Yeah, a lot actually.
Yeah.
You just were doing, well, let's go back. So like what was, when you were growing up, like what was it? Were you a dancer? Like how did it start for you?
Yes. So Nacogdoches, there are limited resources, but I did gymnastics and I did dance and I loved it. And I remember being a kid and like winning competitions and stuff. And it didn't really register that like I was actually good at it. I just enjoyed it so much. And then my mom taught me how to do costumes. So I've been doing that since I was a kid too. But I always loved belly dance. That's my main dance form. It's just that in this small town, there weren't belly dance teachers available. So I would literally buy books on belly dance.
Huh.
I've never heard anybody learning belly dance from books.
Wow.
But that's how I learned, yeah.
I mean, had you seen it in a movie or on TV to like kind of get a sense of it?
I think I just saw pictures of it and I was like, that's cool. That's bright and feminine and flowy. And it just really vibed. And I was like, I want to know more about this thing. And then once I got to college and I had more resources, I was like, okay, let me start taking these classes because I was like ready to go.
Nice. So, I mean, like, were you like in like cheerleading, drill team, or doing stuff like that?
No, it was more like basic stuff. I think I got when I was like an adolescent teenager, I just kind of like floated aimlessly. It wasn't really like a competitive team thing, but I just remember like I was good at it and I enjoyed it.
Right. I just have to say for a second, we're in this podcast studio and we're on video, and it feels a little weird. I feel like I'm performing just a little bit. So I just wanted to share that with you because, I don't know, I'm sure you're like not paying attention because you're doing your own thing, but I'm just like, wow, this is weird.
This is awkward. Yeah,
a little bit
for
weird.
sure. It's so awkward to like hear yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I usually don't have to guess wear headphones, but you kind of have to in here.
We're also sitting about 6 feet away from each other.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like we don't know each other. Anyway, I'm going to back into the interview. I don't, maybe this is a time to bring it up, but you had told me that you wanted to talk about being diagnosed with autism.
Yeah, I haven't been formally diagnosed. It was something I was just researching as an adult.
Okay.
And once I started researching high functioning autism, it checked all of the boxes. And I was like, oh, it was like this light going on. And I was like, okay, that's why I am the way that I am. So when you talk about sitting here and having a performance, there's this thing that people who have autistic tendencies do, which is to mask. So I do feel like I've had to reprogram essentially like how I naturally talk versus how most people want me to talk. And by that I mean I talk slower. I take my tone up and down to be more engaging. I talk more with my body because my tendency is to just have a running stream of consciousness and just be very monotone and super analytical. Like, you know, like autistic people are very analytical and just blah, 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 blah. So when I get with other autistic people and I get to take the mask off and we just get to blah, 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 in our like way that we speak, then I'm like, oh, and I'm like super comfortable. But with, I guess it's called like, what's it called? Like normal, you know, normal people like don't talk like that. So I would always get feedback like, hey, you need to make more eye contact. Hey, are you actually engaged in what I'm saying? Like I would hear this feedback like all of my life that having conversations with me would be awkward. And I think that there's also a bias because of how I look. I think that because, you know, I'm tall and blonde and all that, that people expect me to be a social butterfly. And I'm actually more introverted than that. But the feedback I've always received is that people want me to be more social and be more engaged. So when I read about high functioning autism, I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, that monotone expression, that very analytical kind of approach to life. It's a very cognitive approach to life. And then there's this obsession with our projects, like, right? Like mine would be art. Like I'm just totally obsessed with it. I'm constantly thinking about it. So these are all qualities that help me as a business person because I'm very attuned to like the details and all that. But still, even to this day, people feel that there's something off, I guess, about engaging with me sometimes because I'm not like I'm not an emotionally led person. I'm a cognitively led person, I guess. So I've literally just kind of adjusted how I relate to people based on feedback over the years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you were younger,
It's called masking in
Okay.
high functioning autism. Yeah.
Okay. When you were younger, you didn't know, but you obviously knew there was something about you that was different. Do you think that you gravitated to the dance because it's like you're not really talking to people other than like when you're in the moment, or do you think there's a connection with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's where I get to freely express myself and kind of like process the emotions and all of that. Yeah, because I think autistic people, we have a different relationship with our emotions where it is more objective. But on the other hand, there is something called an autistic meltdown, and that's something that I disclose to people that I work with. When we get overstimulated and we are unable to kind of control our environment and stuff, we can have kind of just lose our tempers, kind of. So I've been in that situation like a handful of time in my life where I'm like trying to de-escalate, trying to remove myself from a very stressful situation, and I'll get very aggressive personalities who will just keep coming at me. And if that doesn't happen, like sometimes I reflect the energy that they're giving me and I can get a little bit aggressive and stuff too. It's really only happened a couple of times, and it's after very carefully explaining to people like, hey, you're triggering me very badly. I need this to de-escalate. I need this to stop. And unfortunately, especially in this scene, you know, with a bunch of like, you know, there are a lot of event throwers and party planners and all of that. People can be very aggressive sometimes.
Sure.
There's not always the greatest amount of emotional maturity with the people that we're, you know, very aware
Well, right.
of.
And even
So-
even not talking about that, you're performing in some unconventional places to perform at times. You guys are dealing with different costume elements and
Fire.
fire. I mean, I can't imagine every show isn't stressful at some point. You know, it's amazing that you're managing it at all, if that's how it is.
I'm told I'm very patient and that I handle things very gracefully. The only time I have a problem is when people are very aggressive with me and they're not containing it. And
Right.
I've communicated to them, please contain it. So yeah, I mean, I high functioning autistic too. I feel like I get a little bit of discriminatory treatment sometimes. Like I remember there was this one event planner just on the very end of the bell curve who apparently, you know, with rhythm, it's like there's a very specific dance form to it. There's like a head banging and all this other stuff. So he contracted me the day of over text saying, hey, we need 2 go-go dancers. Well, 2 go-go dancers to me means people who are feminine and have a feminine form of dance. If you want headbangers, you have to be more specific. So there was just a miscommunication because it was such a last-minute thing. I've never worked with him. I didn't know that music style. So later on, he started out by just yelling at me over the phone. Like he didn't want to pay me. He was like this dance style, he wasn't approving of it. And I was like, well, you have to pay the go-go dancers because we did provide what you asked for, but let me readjust and next time we will give you more of what you're looking for. And he was absolutely infuriated that he felt that I was not emotionally engaged enough in the feedback that he was giving, I guess, but he kept yelling at me and he was like, your affect, that's the criticism I hear. Your affect is very flat. Like yelling at me about how I come off in how I carry
That's
myself.
so weird.
So, but it's like, it's because I'm high functioning autistic and my efforts to de-escalate the situation failed. They failed. And it was probably about a month of just getting these harassing messages from him because we had to continue working together. I was in charge of entertainment for a venue. And it was probably a month of harassing messages from this person. And I finally just was like, we're done. Like, we're done.
Yeah, at a certain point.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's an example of a time when people, like, I am very, like, patient. I do handle things gracefully. But if you throw enough negative energy at me, then I'm also a fuck around and find out kind of person.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you have to be, I guess. I mean, at a certain point. I always find this interesting when I meet somebody that, I mean, not that you're an introvert. You're definitely not an introvert, I wouldn't say. Well, I don't know. Would you consider yourself one? The fact that you're thinking about it, it's just so interesting. Introverts who perform. I mean, I get it. It's like you have to perform. I understand that part of it, but it's just so fascinating to me because I'm more of an introvert now than I was when I used to be on stage more. Like, what is that? Like, you just like the performance, the need for performing is just overwhelming, or you just love it so much that you can push through?
There's the feeling of creativity and expression, which is very, which feels great. And there's a feeling of being in your body and the athleticism, but there's also the feeling, and I think that this is where I say that performing is like a drug, because there's the feeling of belonging. There's the feeling of that's so counter to what most people experience in a day when we're working these 9-to-5 jobs, where our culture is like, you work for me. I am superior to you because you are working for me. You do what I say. And then you get into this super opposite situation where it's like you're being admired. Right. So it's a great feeling. And I think it kind of, to be honest with you, when people first get a taste of what that feels like after not having that, then it's kind of like a drug.
Okay. Well, like that makes sense. So when you're done with college, or you're in North Dallas here. So like, what was the first times you were performing outside of school? What was that looking like?
I took belly dance classes for a long time. I took belly dance classes probably for about a decade. And I was very shy about performing. I actually did not want to put myself out there because I was very content to just do it in my living room or do belly dance with friends or whatnot. But I do think that probably underlying that there was the desire. I don't know what the block was there. Maybe I just wanted to get to a certain skill level because it got to the point where I was just outgrowing my surroundings. And the turning point for me was going to Scarborough Fair. And I met a drummer and I was like, hey, I really want to join a belly dance troupe. Like, I'm ready to just put myself out there. And he's like, okay. And that was really pivotal. Thanks, Joaquin, because he brought me into a group called the Gypsy Eyes. So that was down in Sherwood. And we did belly dance, but I actually, when I first saw Fire, I was like, that's so silly. Why do people do that? It's dangerous. Like, I was just not into it. I like flow arts. I'd already done poi, but I was just not into the Fire. But when I joined this belly dance troupe, Fire was a part of their set. So I had to learn the Fire to be a part of the troupe. And then I had a really good teacher who has her flame effects operator license, and she kind of like showed me the way that there's a way to do fire manipulation that's responsible and safe. So once I learned how to do it the right way, then that was just the gateway. So this was down in Austin that I got to go perform with that troupe, and that was like, it was amazing. Like, it was so amazing. I had the best time. But I wanted to take that format. They had a whole 25-30 minute choreographed set, and they used fire in one of their shows at the end of the day. I wanted to take that format and bring it back to Dallas. So this was in 2017, and I didn't know anybody in the fire flow arts community. I only came from dance. So it was just a huge learning curve to try to bring that back into Dallas, that format.
Okay. And so when you got to Dallas, like, where was the scene that you found? How did you find that?
I went to the Green Elephant at first. It has the longest running open fire circle. I met a couple people there. I like Burning Man and I like regional burns. I go there when I can. So I met a fire performer there. And then what unlocked what my current project is I was invited to one of the first Flow Moons. So Flow Moon didn't used to be out in Deep Ellum Art Co. It was in a backyard. So I was back there in the OG days, and I just met like another person there. Her name is Jo, and first meeting, I was like, hey, I want to put together a belly dancing troupe that uses fire. And she's like, huh. And I was like, I don't remember her really registering it. But then I didn't talk to her for 3 weeks. And she called me out of the blue and she's like, hey, that thing, we're going to do that thing. And we're going to call it Fempyre, which is Fempyre. So I thought the name was really cute. And I was like, okay, let's go do that thing. And I didn't realize it was going to snowball. That was the first steps. I didn't realize it was going to snowball into this like thing that's actually become a very a really awesome side income and interest for me.
Yeah, totally. That's when I met you guys, when you first started doing Fempyre, and yeah, it's fun. I mean, you guys do fun stuff with the fire. Like I am still one foot in the camp of why are you doing that? But I enjoy shooting it. I enjoy seeing it. God, it's got to be hard though to mix. I mean, you're doing a lot to mix that with a regular job and a social life of any kind.
Oh, I'm super busy. I would like to take some things off of my plate. My house was actually wrecked in the 2021 freeze too. So I've been trying to fix that. And then my ex is giving me legal issues about the sale. So it's been a 3-year long process to release that. That's a whole other thing that I've been dealing with. That's been taking up a lot of my time. But yeah, I mean, I just every day I just kind of like chip away and I just do stuff. I mean, Monday through Friday, it's nice because I can do the nursing, and the nursing's nice because I have so much experience with it that when I get in between patients and stuff, I can be like, okay, I need to text this person back, or I need to send that email, or I need to put together this Google Drive folder with this information and stuff. So it keeps me really engaged when I'm actually at my day job too.
Okay.
So it just kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of fits like all together, at least right now. But I will say that I am too busy at the moment, and I would like things to like chill here soon. But my house is supposed to. I have a buyer. I'm hoping that I get to close this month, and once that happens, it's going to be like wheels off. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
hear
party
that.
time from then on.
I hear that. I'm trying to rent my
Yeah.
place right now.
Yeah.
I also remember coming out and we aired our video we made for Fempyre at Fort Worth Fire Beats. Is that still something you do with?
Yeah, I remember that. Fire Beats, that's interesting because we did establish Fire Beats, but then we had a falling out with one of the other co-founders there.
That happens a lot, it seems like.
There is a lot of drama in the scene.
Yeah.
And it would take like many podcasts, I think, to like just describe the drama. But there's just so many problematic personalities and stuff.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that the fire does it
I don't
attract a
know.
certain type of person that maybe has decided society rules don't apply to them, or is there something else to it? I mean, I've noticed it. Like we've talked about it a little bit. I mean, all scenes have their drama for sure. Like this isn't the only scene with drama.
Yeah.
But why is this scene seem to be more
especially
Yeah.
dramatic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. See, it's interesting talking to you because you actually know a lot of the people I'm talking about too.
I don't know as many people as you think, just so you know,
Okay,
like
okay.
peripherally maybe.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
knew you went to some of the events.
Yeah,
I didn't know
absolutely.
how, but you have made comments and stuff that were very insightful, and I was like, oh, he did notice that about that person.
Okay,
So
all right.
I'm just remembering that from the past. So you might know more
Okay.
than you think.
Okay. I just don't want to. I'm trying not to take sides, but anyway. Yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah, neutrality is great. I just never really got that option. I don't think.
Well, you're in the scene.
I am accepting feedback as to why I have been involved so much in some of the drama in the scene. And I think it's just because I do hold myself in a different kind of way. Here's the thing about the flow arts community. A lot of people are very young. A lot of people are looking for a place to belong.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people come from really just broken backgrounds, like broken childhoods and stuff. So when you're getting into the rave and the party and the party scene, like you're really trying to escape. So I think that there's this brokenness that people kind of like start with that is more prevalent in this scene than it would be in other places.
Mm-hmm.
If you are getting into circus or you're getting into dance, then your parents, if you're a dancer and you've been dancing since you were a kid, your parents were put together enough to get you to those classes and pay for all those things and pay for costumes and stuff.
Sure.
If you're coming from a broken background, then you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get by.
Yeah,
And
well, I mean-
you're just in this survival mode.
Yeah. The analogy is, well, you're playing with fire. Like who's supervising that, right?
There's a lot of unsafe practices here locally, unfortunately, but that's just kind of like the nature of the thing. We really had a learning curve because when we first started, we didn't realize how much we were going to resonate and how much attention we were going to receive.
Yeah, it's huge.
So we had a lot of women, and I still have a lot of women who want to learn from me. Because Fempyre, like we started out as just like a women's group, like a women's empowerment group. And I had a lot of women who wanted to learn from me. And we found out very quickly that we cannot just go over things like over the fuel station before we're about to burn. We had to actually have safety workshops, establish safety workshops. And things have been a lot better ever since, where we go over, okay, what's a safe costuming to wear? When are you ready for fire? What are the fuels? What's the safety setup? So we went over all of that pretty early on. Yeah,
okay.
but yeah, definitely just playing with fire. Yeah, it's a very dramatic, very, very dramatic scene. So.
So, are you still bringing people on? Are you still teaching people? I mean, like, how often do you have to replace the main people?
I don't have the time right now to do classes. We used to have a weekly meetup where we invited everybody, and it was on a donation basis. And the pandemic changed a lot of that because everybody got into their houses. So I really kind of focused in on who were the most dedicated members who were really would keep up with their craft and get to a very advanced level, and they were committed to learning choreographies, because nothing makes a choreography look more lame than if you have somebody who's not confident with it and they're messing it up. Like
Oh, yeah.
audiences are very unforgiving about that. So you have to have a group of performers who are really committed to making the final outcome look polished. And we
Yeah.
used to be a lot more relaxed about that because we wanted everybody to join. It really is a women's empowerment group where we just wanted people to learn and fill their cup every week by being around each other, because there's a different vibe that women have when we're together and there aren't guys around. It's like I would get feedback that I still get feedback to this day. So this was back in 2018, and I still get feedback that people are like, I miss those meetups. What, can we do that again? And I'm like, I do too, actually, but I literally just have not had the time. But I have lots of people who, still contact me to learn.
Right.
I am available at the Green Elephant because I do run that fire circle now. I am available for instruction before we actually burn, like at the venue. I can teach people a little bit about props. I can teach people about safety, but people have to contact me and schedule it ahead of time.
Okay. I know that you've made some costumes. Are you still doing that? Is that like specific for fire, for just for performance?
I make costumes all the time. I think that so performing has a shelf life, and there's going to be a point in time where I'm not going to want to do this. I mean, and at least not at the consistency that I am, which is like every single weekend. But eventually, there are horizontal growth moves that I want to make, and costumes are definitely one of them, because I just love to make costumes.
Yeah, you made some cool stuff in the past. I've taken photos of, I remember.
Thank you.
Let's see. Did you want to talk about that situation with the promoter person? You don't have to. We can.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to kind of get the truth out. Going back to, okay, so with Flow Arts and Fire, one of the things that I notice is that when I do these performances, a lot of people have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Like in the audience, this is the first time that they've ever seen that Flow and Fire Arts. I think that there is an element of professionalism that's missing from this scene. And specifically, if I could name one thing that is missing, it would be there needs to be a guild. There needs to be a professional guild where people work out internal problems. And there is not that. There is quite far from that. There's a lot of narcissism. There's a lot of antisocial personality type spectrum stuff that's going on in the scene right now. So how do we transition to this? Because this is like a heavy subject. But basically, one of the ways to make a living as a fire performer is to have a residency. And there are very few residencies, venues that can support long-term fire, daily fire. It's partly a legal issue. You don't want to pay for the permit every time. So what happened was there was a group that came in after mine, and they have been very abrasive. I feel that they have been very kind of damaging to the community, and they did not get their, so I have a flame effects operator license, which allows me to pull these permits and stuff. They didn't get that. They wanted to just go, it's called Renegade, where it's like you just like burn, without a permit. And they brought in a person who has 50 different women accusing him of sexual assault as their FEO. And they tried to keep it a secret. Because they know that what they're doing is wrong. In this day and age, I can't understand how someone like that's out and, not knowing. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's like anywhere else they would have consequences, but in the flow arts community, they get a promotion. At least in Texas.
And like the rest of the community doesn't stand up to that, or doesn't blackball them themselves, or there's no unity like that.
But again, you ask me like why I'm a part of drama and stuff, and it's because I bring stuff like this up, and I feel very, very much alone in doing stuff like that. Yeah. And in fact, I brought it up in a Facebook group like a couple of days ago, and I received backlash from some of the members.
Because they're just standing up for this dude that
they're trying to justify their actions.
Okay, so nobody's even denying it. They're just saying, well, yeah, but in the past or something.
Well, I've had false accusations before, and this is just a witch hunt. Witch hunt gets thrown around. I mean, 50 different women.
That's significant.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I get that because I've been on the other side of it too, where I've seen people make false accusations because they're personality disordered or whatever. I get that. Like, you have to discern, like, okay, who's the messenger? But 50 is pretty determining.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I don't even know what to say about all this. I
Yeah.
mean, is it, because I would say like there could be jealousy, but that's not from these guys. They're just, you know what I mean? Like if it was like women just giving you weird, but it's these dudes that are standing up for this other dude. It sounds like more than anything else, right?
Yeah, and there is no accountability.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Sorry to get so negative.
no.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of
It's important.
there's some dark subjects in this scene. Yeah, I wish it wasn't like that.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice, like you said, to like have some sort of guild or for people to back each other up, but I guess you have to get on the same page first, which doesn't sound like it's happening yet.
Yeah, and I would not be bringing this up in a public, like social media, on a podcast and stuff, but I have tried to advocate for you guys. Like, there are some severe issues. We need to come up with formats that are going to keep standards and a lot of this toxicity and a lot of these predatory behaviors and stuff out of our community. Like I've tried to get people to sit down, and I was blocked by the leader of the group. And yeah, I mean, if I try to bring it up in any other format, I get the story. It's called DARVO, so it's deny, attacked, reverse victim and offender. It's a pattern that very toxic people tend to have because it gets the attention off of them, and they're able to shift the focus.
Huh. Wow. Okay. This is, I mean, it's not good.
Yeah. There's a dark side and then there's a light side, and I'm just kind of like in the middle of it, and I'm very curious to see how this is going to turn out in the long term. But yeah, it would take more people standing up and being like, you know what, this really is not okay, and we really need to come up with some kind of like a format that
you gotta
things like this don't happen.
At least the women could get together to start with. I mean, they're the ones that are in trouble if they're alone with this person or something, you know, or all these situations.
Yeah, and they're just appalled because it's like they're trying to say their experience and they're not getting the support that they need.
Wow. Yeah. Well, then there's a definite need for some kind of actual format. It sounds like.
And there aren't a lot of people who have the capacity to organize that.
You might have to do it. You might have to start this.
I do. No, the people I work with are great. Like I am the happiest that I've ever been personally, because things are really well aligned, and I've been doing this for a couple of years. So I have my go-to people that are just super skilled, super professional, really good at communicating.
Yeah, no, you have a good team, and I was going to actually move forward. You don't just do fire. I can see you guys with like doing go-go dancing, doing neon, doing space age stuff. Like,
yeah, there's so much.
So basically, you're just like, if someone goes to a website, you have a website where you get hired, and like,
yeah, we get a lot of inquiries off of our website. We do third party. I get a lot of direct referrals, and I work with agencies.
And people will just be like, okay, well, we want this, and you're like, yes, sure, we'll do it.
So for example, there was like a fundraiser last week, and they said, what we want to do is just have a woman sitting on a table doing these very flexible contorted poses. Can you put that together? And I'm like, yes, I can. And it was just fun, because it was like, then it's like I got to find like the very flexible person who's up to do that, you know.
Sure.
So it wasn't me, but it's like I get to like match talent to whatever the request is, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's very fun. It's a very fun place to be. It's work. It's a lot of work, but it's it's like I'm like, what am I doing this weekend? Like, it's gonna be super fun. Well, this weekend I'm going camping, but like the month of October is very, very, very interesting. Like, I think our next public shows we're going to do the city of Arlington. We're going to do something called a day prop show for their 100-year anniversary of their library. And then at night, we're going to be doing something called the Great Gatsby Party, which is thrown by a national party promoter. So I mean, it's just really interesting, and I get to see people with nursing, it's like you get to see people constantly suffering, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with doing events and stuff, you see people celebrating.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice balance, and I really enjoy it. I will never get tired of weddings, period, at the end. Like, I hear some people in the industry who are like, I'm so tired of weddings. And I'm like, no, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, people are happy.
You're celebrating love. Like, it's
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah, totally. When you walked in, you were mentioning that you had started working on putting a podcast together.
Yes. So Joe, the person that I co-founded Fempyre with, like we've come a long way from the beginning. We didn't know what we were going to do, if it was going to be a hobby troupe. We didn't expect it to monetize and become this professional thing. So there was a lot that we learned along the way. I've probably learned more from this artistic venture than I've learned in anything else that I've ever done. So we just have a lot of advice, just on how to make it, how to build yourself as an artist. I'd say that Dallas is a really interesting culture, right? Like there's so many resources here and all of that, but it's not really the most supported art scene. It's really hard to make it from grassroots to successful. There's a huge gap.
Yeah.
There. So we just want to talk about what that's like and what the experience of having an all women's group in, the flow arts community has how that experience has been. So yeah, we just have a lot to say at this point, and it's been on the back of my mind. Like I've really wanted to have a podcast. So yeah, I'm just kind of exploring that.
Cool. That's how I was like, oh, I should have you on, because I saw your post about like podcasts. And I'm like, oh, there's a perfect guest for us.
I'm glad that you did, and I like the name Dallas Famous. That made me giggle because that's kind of a running joke.
Oh yeah, same for me too.
Yeah, because when I go out now, I probably see like the same 10 people. I don't know how they make it to every event I go to, but it's like you kind of just get known in the social scene, and 10 million people, but you see the same people going to the same things. And it's like if you do anything unusual, then you kind of get known for that thing. So Dallas Famous, yeah, I can definitely. Yeah. But it is like it's a very condensed, like it's a very localized thing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, it's like people are like, "Are you gonna go shoot that show in Columbus?" I'm like, "No." It's like I don't know anybody in Columbus. I'm Dallas Famous. That's it. Like I can make, and like I can't even shoot everywhere here. Apparently, that's another story we'll talk about later. Hey, it was great having you, Brianna. We'll look out for all your stuff. We'll put the links in the show notes, and hope it all keeps going great.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I will see you around.
Excellent. I'd like to thank my guest, Brianna Apsara. She's performing all over, so just take a look at the links and see where you can catch her. This week we had the privilege of recording this episode at the Epic in Grand Prairie at their podcasting studio. For those that don't know, there's a whole new bunch of cool things happening at the Epic in Grand Prairie, including live shows. If you want to do your own podcasting, you can join the Epic. There's a lot of stuff you get out of that membership. I don't even know all the details, but you can go to jointheepic.com and you can see what that involves. There's a gym, there's a pickleball, there's lots of stuff, so check it out. And thanks again to the Epic for having us. Theme song, Unstoppable by Celine Narala. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff, and share it with your friends. We'll see you next time.